again.
Yeah, I know. All right. Rewind. Today in class, I'm going to cover the plot devices. I know for a fact you guys have at least been taught them at some point. I just wanted to give you a crash course so that tomorrow, when I ask you to use these terms during our discussion, you're not like, what are you talking about, Mrs. Downing? And then you're going to have a quizzes just to, again, refresh yourself on it, interact with the terms one more time. You'll turn that quizzes into me. I'm going to remind you for the 100th time about your peer reviews for your narrative essay. I know I don't have that written on here, but I will come around and hound you about that. And then you have, Austin.
What?
Thank you.
I'm talking about my peer review.
I know, but I want you to, your eyes up here. You're going to read chapters 1 and 2 for class tomorrow. So tomorrow we are going to have our discussions over just chapters 1 and 2, so make sure that you have that done for class tomorrow. And you'll have at least 25 minutes today to do that, so if you were worried about that, you will get it done, I promise. All right, so we are going to talk about story points, and I just mean overall terms that you're also going to encounter in most stories, and I'm going to give you guys some examples too, so that you're not totally a fish out of water here. All right, so review story points, take quizzes, read chapters 1 and 2 today. So let's talk about setting first. I know you can read behind me, but what is setting in a story?
The place
Austin.
it takes place.
Okay, is it just the place?
The time.
Could be the
weather.
time. The what?
Weather.
The weather.
Climate.
Geography. It could be the actual specific location. The time of day, the time of year, the time of the century. Hadley? Yeah, could be character descriptions in the environment, could be the climate, maybe the mood and atmosphere, so if it's really happy or really sad, those could be different things. Or the population. How many of you guys have seen the movie Twilight? How many times? Okay, I just remember in the first 5 minutes of the film, she's like, move to Forks with a population of 5,000 something, and you're like, wow, that's not a lot of people. Sometimes that plays a factor in the story, so take that into note. All right, next up is theme. So theme is defined as the main idea or underlying story point in the whole thing. So 2 examples. How many of you guys have seen Endgame? All right, I'm not spoiling anything. The main theme is derived by grief as a motivator. So they're very sad because they just lost half of their friends, half of the universe.
What? I didn't know that.
And then to all the boys I've loved before, the theme is love. Yeah. Follow-up question. How many of you guys have seen Harry Potter? Somebody want to take a shot in the dark about what the theme is for those movies?
Magic.
Hadley? So what's the overall theme? The message that we take away from it, though? Okay, maybe it's vengeance. Is there something else that Harry's doing that maybe Voldemort doesn't have?
No.
You're not wrong. Simon?
He's a good person.
He's a good person. And Harry has friends. So one of the themes you could take away from it is friendship, not just facial features.
No.
All right. We also need to talk about different characters. Tomorrow, when we discuss our book, we are going to talk about the protagonists and who we think the antagonists are going to be. The protagonist is typically the main character or group of characters that you want to see be successful. Do they always have to be a good person? No.
No?
No. Has anybody seen the TV show Dexter? Not Dexter's Laboratory. Okay, a few of you. In the show Dexter, the main character is actually a serial killer. And you're like, that's not a good person. He's killing people. However, he is the protagonist because as we follow his story, we don't want him to get caught. Then we have the antagonist, who's typically the person or group of people that's just trying to take down the protagonist. Yes, Simon.
If the serial killer's bad, why don't we want him to get caught?
Because he's killing bad people.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Is this? Yes. All right. Then we have indirect characterization. So tomorrow when we talk about our characters, if you haven't already, if you're in chapter 1 or 2, they have a lot of vivid descriptions of what the characters look like or what they're doing. Indirect characterization focuses more on what the characters are doing around you or why they're being perceived that way. So, as an example, there's several ways to identify indirect characterization. Their speech, what are they saying or how are they saying it? Their thoughts, maybe the narrator's inside their head and you can determine what they're thinking. The effect that they have on others or themselves, their actions, what are they doing, and their looks, so maybe it's about their appearance. Let's talk about examples. This short one I'll read first. Joe trudged back to his seat. So, this is Joe. What's he doing?
Trudging.
What do you take away from that?
He's sad.
He's sad.
Or angry.
Upset.
He's angry, upset. What else could he be? He could be tired. Maybe he's a little lazy. It just depends. Jeff walked up to Mark and took his sandwich off his plate. He took a bite, smirked at Mark, and then walked away. What do we know about Jeff here? He's mean.
Oh.
Hadley. He's conceited.
Hungry.
He's hungry. Simon?
He's a bully.
He's a bully. Yeah, he just ate somebody's sandwich. Who does that? Jeff does, apparently. All right, then we have direct characterization. This is where you get more into the specifics of what somebody looks like or maybe physical features. So my examples, I have Ivan is an incredibly strong fellow. How can you picture strong? Muscles.
Like me.
No. All right, then I have this better one down below. I know it's super small, I'm sorry. The old man was thin and gaunt with deep wrinkles in the back of his neck. What do you picture there? It kind of pictures it for you, doesn't it? The terms like wrinkles, old, deep wrinkles. Okay. From here, I also want to talk about an archetype. So, an archetype can be defined as like several different things. The main thing I'm focusing on is a typical character. So, a typical character can be found in so many movies and TV shows. A good example would be like the jock. In any TV show or movie that you see a jock, Austin, eyes up front. What does a jock sound like in a typical TV show or movie?
Bully.
Okay, maybe they're a bully. Yeah? Uneducated, good. Simon?
Football player.
Football player. Hadley? Parental pressure. So, when you think of that, an archetype is something that you just like, you know to expect in that type of film or movie. There's another one. How about the mother? When you see a mother in a TV show or movie, what do you take away from them? They're nice. They're caring. Simon?
Not all mothers are nice because Cinderella's stepmother was evil.
Stepmother's different ball games. We're talking about a straight up mother here. Yeah.
My mom watches like the weird like crazy woman shows and they're never good.
Are you talking about like reality TV show?
No,
Talking about the Kardashians?
no, like the crazy woman.
Christian is not that bad.
I don't know what that is.
Everybody kills everybody.
Okay. Well, maybe a different ball game there. Okay. Simon?
Actually, even some mothers are evil because I just saw something yesterday where a mom, a dad, his grandparents, and his aunt all beat him.
Well, you know, there are different, potential spam. There are different scenarios that, Austin, that bring up different things. There's also the idea. So I say characters as an archetype. You can also say an idea of something. So in a TV show or movie or literature, when you read something, typically the idea of hunger or death or animals can all consistently be the same, at least in some manner of a fact, and that's something we'll express more tomorrow. All right, foreshadowing. Raise your hand if you've seen a scary movie. All right, my best example, just as a flat piece, if you've seen a scary movie and you watch the main character and they're about to turn a corner and you hear the music kind of go like, oh, something bad's about to happen for sure. That's an example of foreshadowing because you know it's about to happen. Or if you've seen Jaws and you hear like the da-da, that's when you know Jaws is about to come out. And that's a little bit of foreshadowing. In literature, it's a little different because they've mentioned something to a character or a character is brought up that's going to play a role or a factor in the climax. And that's where we'll see it in The Outsiders coming up. But foreshadowing is definitely something that's hinted towards the future. Yeah?
So it's kind of like if the character's going to die, the author might say earlier on in the book, gee, I'm glad you're not dead.
Yes. Or if there's a really big volcano that's around the corner and they keep mentioning the volcano and they're like, wow, it hasn't erupted in so long. And then all of a sudden it erupts. You're like, oh, I guess we expected that. All right, a flashback. Break down the word. It's flash, so it's quick, and then it takes a step back. If you're following this timeline from point A to point B, the flashback happened over here. So a good example is, let's say, in the storyline, we're talking to a war veteran right now, and he talks about his time in the war whenever he went, many years ago. That would be an example of a flashback. And then we're going to talk about point of view. Somebody give me an example of first person point of view. I, me, my. So they're saying, I went to the store. I'm going to do these things. I'm not reading this. That's just a technical term. What about second person?
He, she, you. Oh, that's
You.
Oh, I got third.
Second person is you or yours. This is typically when the author or narrator is addressing the reader or the listener. And then we have third person limited. There's technically two third persons that I'm going to talk about. If you had to guess what limited was, what do you think limited means?
He, she. You, yo.
Hadley?
Third person is where the author is outside of the character and it's just
Yes. So limited just means they're really only focusing on one character. They know one character's thoughts and one character's full thought process. Omniscient means that they know everything. So they don't know just one character. They know several characters. They know what's happening all over. And we're going to talk about which one we see here in The Outsiders. So if that's something you're looking for today, while you finish reading, try to figure out which one of these perspectives we see. All right. I already went over types of conflict last week. Somebody raise your hand and tell me one type. Hadley. Man versus machine. Yeah. Man versus man. Man versus self.
Man versus nature.
Man versus nature.
Man versus society.
Yes, man versus society.
Man versus supernatural.
Man versus supernatural. Good. Okay. So, you guys are going to take a quizzes. It's on my English page. I posted it earlier. You'll see it at the top of the stream. If you need the slideshow, use the slideshow. It's right here for you. This is the quizzes. Once you take it, turn it into the Dropbox. Once that's done, Simon, pull your mask up. You can read quietly up until lunch, or you can work on something else. Maybe you want to organize your Google folders, delete your 2,000 emails.